Empty your mind. The old wise man's words echoed softly in the chilly morning air, calm and steady, like the gentle ringing of the town's ancient clock tower. Empty your mind. Those words floated over all the loud city sounds, the rush of footsteps, the endless sighs of worry, and hearts pressed down by hidden troubles. In this town, people rarely stopped. They hurried along crowded streets, eyes full of sadness about the past and fear about what lay ahead. In the middle of all this busy rush, a young guy stood apart, lingering at the edge of an old, wide park. He held his sketchbook close to his chest. Most of its pages were blank, echoing the weight of his doubts and dreams inside. Every page was just partly done, a face missing eyes, a tree without roots, a sun barely shining above the horizon. The boy dreamed of making art that mattered, something magical, something beautiful enough to change his world. But inside his mind, chaos ruled. He searched for perfection, battled his fear, and carried the feeling that he was never quite enough. The days flowed together. Outside his window, the clock tower chimed the hours away. Life buzzed by, neighbors chatting at dawn, teachers calling roll in noisy classrooms, friends laughing on sidewalks. But for the boy, each day felt the same. He went through the motions, doing what was expected, but always half present, his thoughts wandering back to his unfinished drawings, his secret wish to create something extraordinary. At night, alone in his small room, he would open his sketchbook. Under the soft light of a single lamp, he tried again and again, lines turning uncertain, colors the wrong shade, nothing seeming right. He closed the book, heart heavy, and listened to quiet tears drip on the desk. Still, every morning something quietly called him back to the park. One spring morning, as the bells tolled, the boy walked slowly to the edge of the park. Dew sparkled on the grass. The air smelled of fresh earth. There, near a shimmering pond, he saw the old, wise man for the first time. The old man had silver hair and gentle eyes. His calm seemed to slow even the breeze itself. Sometimes he just sat for hours watching leaves drift. He wore simple clothes. On his lap rested a bag full of stones, each one smooth and bright, shaped by time. Without a word, the old man stood and pressed one of these stones into the boy's palm. The stone was cool and heavy. "Could you draw this stone's story?" the old man asked softly. The boy looked at the stone, confused and shy. "It's just a stone. Don't I need something bigger, something special?" But the old man's smile was only patient. He gently scattered a pile of small pebbles at the boy's feet. "Arrange them any way you wish," he said. "But first, empty your mind. Let go of how you think art should look, of fear, of the need for perfection." The boy came back the next day, and the day after. Each visit, the old man gave him new, strange tasks. Some days, he told the boy to build tall, silent towers of pebbles. Other days, he asked him to draw with his left hand, making wobbly shapes. Sometimes, the boy sketched with his eyes closed, letting his hand dance across the page by feel alone. At first, these tasks felt silly. The towers always tumbled down, the drawings looked messy. He grew frustrated. He wanted to shout, "This isn't real art, how can this help me?" But each time, the old man only asked him to sit quietly and listen. Feel the weight of the stone, listen to the trickle of the pond, the whispering willow, the soft wind, feel the rise and fall of your breath. With time, the boy noticed that in these gentle silences, something inside him relaxed just a little. The world felt softer, the need to be perfect was quieter, if only for a moment. But soon his old worries returned. "I'm not enough. Art must be flawless. I must do something important." Still, he kept coming back. One day, as the late sun shone gold on the water, the old man shared a story. "There was once a garden," he said. people planted many flowers close together, so close that roots had no root. The earth looked empty and bare, but after a soft rain, the empty spaces let roots stretch deep. The garden bloomed into a sea of colour. The boy stayed quiet. He thought of his own life, his sketchbook, his cluttered mind. Maybe emptiness wasn't something to fear. Maybe it was where things could really begin. He returned to this thought again and again as he watched sunlight flicker on the pond, as frogs croaked softly at dusk, as he sat with his unfinished drawings. Then, one rainy afternoon, as thunder rolled, the boy raced to the park, guarding his sketchbook under his jacket. He had spent hours on a special drawing, hoping the old man would finally say it was good enough. The path was muddy, puddles everywhere. The boy's shoes slipped, and before he could stop it, his sketchbook flew from his hands and landed in the pond. He shouted and ran after it, but the pages soaked up water. Lines and colours bled together and swirled in wild patterns. The boy knelt in the wet grass, desperate, heart pounding. "My drawings, they're ruined! All my work, gone!" Tears slid down his cheeks. The old wise man sat quietly beside him. He lifted the dripping sketchbook, turning it page by page. Softly, calmly, he showed the boy what was there. Not the perfect drawings the boy had planned, but new colours and shapes, born from the accident. Forms the boy never expected, yet strangely alive. "See what happens," the old man said, "when you empty your mind and make space for something unexpected." The boy wiped his tears. For a moment, he felt a small lightness, a spark of wonder deep in his chest. From that moment, something inside the boy began to change. He stopped thinking so much about what others might think of his art. He came to the park for peace, for silence, for the soft sound of the water and the steady company of the old man. He painted freely. He let colours run. He allowed mistakes to turn into new things. He watched ants carrying leaves. He watched the sky for shapes he could draw. Sometimes he helped other children. If a girl was sad about her own drawing, he offered a stone and gently said the words, "Empty your mind, let something new in." He forgave himself for not being perfect. He forgave others too. Every day, his heart felt a little lighter.
One golden morning, sunlight sparkled on the pond. Birds sang in the willow. The boy sat down with his fresh sketchbook and simply breathed. He felt the air on his face, listened to the birds and the distant bell, watched a boat-shaped cloud drift by. He started to paint, not with worry, but with curiosity and joy. His brush moved across the page. He drew sunlight. He drew laughter. He drew the feeling of the old man's quiet, steady wisdom. When he finished, he looked at his work and smiled. It was not flawless. It broke rules, but it was alive, full of color, memory, and a piece of his soul. The old man gazed at the painting, his eyes shining with pride. Thoughtful. "Emptiness is not the absence of creation," he said, long pause. "It is the space where beautiful things are born." Tears prickled in the boy's eyes, not from sadness, from gratitude. The town outside rushed on. The bell chimed. People hurried everywhere. But the boy moved slowly, feeling calm inside. He kept his sketchbook ready for anything, never afraid of empty pages. Now, he knew, emptiness is just space for something wonderful to bloom. People from the town sometimes wandered into the park, tired and heavy with their own worries. The boy sat with them, sometimes drawing, sometimes just sharing the silence. He always gave the same gift, the words he had learned. Calm, empty your mind. With time, laughter grew in the park again. Smiles lasted longer. Even busy adults learned to stand still for a moment and listen to the wind in the trees. As days passed and seasons changed, the boy became known for his art and his way of listening. But he never stopped learning, never stopped making space for mistakes and for magic. He realized his best art and his best days always began with an empty mind and an open heart. One evening, after another gentle lesson by the pond, The boy watched the last rays of sunlight dance across the water. He closed his eyes, took a long, slow breath, and felt at peace. As the boy walked home, sunlight danced on the pond's surface, making moving patterns that shifted with each of his steps. The town still hurried, and the bells still tolled, but the boy's heart was clear and open. So now, ask yourself, if you emptied your mind, even for just a moment, what masterpiece might finally find space to bloom in your life?